Outdoor Adventures.
Greetings all, Chook here from Chook's Outdoor Adventures. Well, a couple things for you today. First of all, I wanted to chuckle at this news article I saw in Business Insider. An eco-activist trying to prove loggers had forced a brown bear out of its den was attacked by the animal, and they actually had some kind of game cam set up where they had pictures of the brown bear that the activist had claimed was driven out of his territory by these loggers come out and attack the activists. And there was even politicians saying how ironic it was, and these people won the Darwin Award. That was in Poland. So I love stories like that. I think it was very ironic. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was I recently did a video on this handgun bear defense study that was done by AmmoLand, and I got a lot of reactions to it, and Dean Wiedengarten actually reached out to me. Now, he's one of the writers, the main writers that writes about that study for AmmoLand, and it was really nice to talk to him on the phone. He's a really interesting guy. Check out his writing for AmmoLand. He's also got his own gun blog. I think it's called Gun Watch, where he does a lot of support for the Second Amendment. So he's a great guy. I really enjoyed my conversation with him on the phone, and he cleared up a couple things for me. First of all, I got tons of comments where I had stated that the study mentioned that, this Swedish man was attacked by a polar bear or something, and tons of people said there's no polar bears in Sweden. That cannot be true. But what it was is there's this archipelago called Svalbard, I think, and it's this island that's administered by Norway. Sweden's involved, and a lot of Swedish nationals will go up there for expeditions and hunting, and there has been multiple bear attacks in that island, and that's where a lot of this was coming from. So that was really interesting. The whole study I loved. I loved reading how the .44 Magnum was one of the most successful handgun calibers, cartridges against even brown bear attacks, as well as the 10mm. But what surprised me, well, it didn't really surprise me, but a lot of people it surprised, was 40 Smith & Wesson actually did really well. And I've always said 40 Smith & Wesson is a great cartridge. You get the plus P ammo. It's more powerful than 9mm. You got more foot-pounds of energy, and I think it's a great round, and this study was great because it kind of proved that. There was talking to Dean, he gave me the inside story on some of these stories, so I'd like to interview him someday. But he was telling me how black bears will do this prey testing where they kind of, I knew that they do false charges, but I didn't realize they'll try to nip at you just to see what you'll do. And predators always want to avoid injury, so they will test you. So I thought that was interesting, and that kind of is the story of what happened with the story of Todd Orr, I think, the guy in New Mexico. Now, I had heard this story before because he had a Glock 20 10mm, but he was attacked twice by this black bear. It mauled him and then came back. And this was the story where he was tussling with it. They were rolling down this hill. The bear was clawing at him, and he did shoot it with the 10mm, didn't put him down, and then he went to shoot it again at point blank range, and one of the bear's thick hairs got him the slide of his Glock 20 and caused it to malfunction. So there's a case for revolvers if there ever was one. But he eventually got it to work, and he shot the bear at basically point blank range in the head. But he had a lot of damage done to his leg, and it was a gruesome story. The bear clamped its jaws down on the guy's leg, and even when it died, they had to literally cut the bear's head off, and it was still clamped on there. So really interesting story. Another interesting story that I really liked was these elk hunters, and I believe it was Wyoming, might have been Montana, but tons of stories out of Wyoming and Montana by grizzly bear attacks where people defended themselves with handguns. But this time there was a guide and another guy and the guy's son, and they all had pistols. The guide had the 10mm, the other guy had some kind of pistol, and the son had a .45 ACP. Now, I've done videos on .45 ACP. I think it's a great cartridge, but this kid had hollow points in it. So when he was hitting the bear, it was just kind of impacting on the fat and doing some damage, but it was not penetrating and getting the vital organs initially. And you know, that's Chuck's big thing in Alaska Ballistics, that you want that, you know, the hard cast or the solid copper to penetrate into the vitals. So, but what was interesting about this case is they were all unloading on this charging bear. But what I didn't realize, and when I was talking to Dean, he told me this, that the kid was actually a competition shooter. It was really good with his 45 ACP, so he could shoot on target very fast, reload, and so they got tons of shots. And I think the kid helped put it down with his 45, even though he had hollow points. He was just, every shot, you know, was hitting exactly where he wanted to, and eventually I think he got a bunch of headshots really quickly. But by the time the bear fell down, it was like 5 feet away from him. So it was a close call, and they were all unloading on him. Great story. But what this video is about is Dean needs your help with this AmmoLand investigation and the database, because he's trying to collect as many stories of handgun defense stories where people were threatened by bears, charged by bears, and they used a handgun to defend themselves, whether it worked or not. And there was like 10 comments, and I will be replying to these people and saying, hey, please contact me. But Dean is hoping that I can contact some more people, filter them through my email and send them his way so they can be interviewed. Now, what we need is mainly first-person accounts. We will accept second person, like we don't want, well, a buddy of a buddy said that they were attacked by a bear. We want your story, I was attacked by a bear, or if it is not possible, then a direct interview you have with somebody, not second person, but you know, a direct, you interviewed this person, wrote down what they said, and then passed it on to us. So we would really appreciate that. I'm going to throw my email up here, chuksoutdoor@outlook.com. I will have it in the description of the video, but please email me. I'm going to pass it along to Dean, and he's going to put it in his database, and we'll keep updating it. And it's really a fascinating database, and I think it really proves how effective handguns have been in these cases. Now, I've always said a rifle is better. A hunting rifle or a shotgun is way better than a handgun, but sometimes when you're out hiking, that's all you have quick access to is a handgun, and now we know that it has worked in a lot of these cases. So let me know what you guys think about the stories. Please email me at my email listed there, and so I can pass this on for the database. So thanks for tuning in. I'll have a video up tomorrow morning. It's Chuk, your friend in the field.
My name is Chuk. I like to trade my guns just for fun, but now I have none. Oh, look, get shot by a bear, but I don't care. I got a 10mm. Chuk's Outdoor Adventures. Watch you all die every time.